Our most recent client is a company called Braille Skateboarding. They're the largest skateboarding YouTube channel in the world with about 5.5 million subscribers. And what we did for them is really we split up. So we built an immersive experience for them on the web. And we split up the experience into learning, skating, and shopping. So you can, I wish there was a visual here, but you can basically skate around in a skate park that we recreated. They actually have a physical skate park in California. And then we brought all their products, primarily skateboards, into the shopping experience, 3D modeled them, and then also made essentially a learning section that is like a big jumbotron where you can learn how to skateboard from the host, Aaron Cairo. And one cool stat about that, by the way, so we're really rolling this out in a few phases. So step one is putting it on their website and moderating the experience to make sure it's working appropriately. And we're currently in that phase. And one interesting metric we've been able to gather is the average session duration is about 5 minutes long.
Yeah, that's
so it
awesome.
seems people are really skating. They're using the game. And just so everyone knows, that URL is park.brailleskateboarding.com. So once we're done with this, if y'all guys will go check it out, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and we can post it on Spatial Ape as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's great. And how did you identify that Braille was going to be a good partner for what you're doing?
Great question. So they have a really global audience. So they have a community all over the world. And they were really fascinated by the idea of allowing their community and their fans from all over the world to basically virtually visit their skate park and be able to learn more about their brand. That really resonated with the Braille Skateboarding team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hayden, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about what the design process was like. How did you guys concept this space out? How did you bring it to life? What was it? What's your approach there?
Yeah. So, well, a previous project right before Braille was for skateboards.com. And so we, with that project, basically created a custom skate park for skateboards.com. And it was a simple skate game where, you could go off jumps, you could ollie, you could shove it and kick flip, heel flip, and kind of grind the rails. And then on top of that, what we were really trying to drive was skateboard sales. So we had a board builder, basically. We took some of the most popular decks from skateboards.com and their trucks and wheels and basically created a configurator that you could make your skateboard and then take it into the virtual skate park and actually skate it and play around with it. So building on top of that, we knew that, we could use the skate game for Braille and that was kind of a sticky feature to keep people around. And like Nick said, to have a session duration around 5 minutes. And so we also knew that Braille had a real skate park in the real world. So instead of just making up a skate park like we did for skateboards.com, we could recreate it and kind of make a little, add a virtual type of world around it that allowed us to get creative and allowed us to integrate the shop, which is like the board configurator from skateboards.com. But what Braille does is they sell completes. So it's just decks with trucks, with wheels. It's the full skateboard that you buy because they're mainly catering to beginners, it seems like. And so that board shop with Braille, it's right outside the skate park. It's a big, giant skateboard, and you can basically flip through the different decks that they offer on those complete boards. So you can see, I think there's about 15 complete boards that we offer in that shop. It's integrated with their WooCommerce site. And so there's, if you click, there's like 3D buttons in the shop. And if you click them, it pops up just a 2D modal, which we use React for the 2D side of things. And it allows you to actually add the board to your cart on Braille's website. So that's the shop. We definitely wanted to include that because, we're all about bringing value props to our clients, and they're selling skateboards, so that's important to them. And then the other side of it is, like Nick said, they've got 5 million subscribers on YouTube and some other hefty followings on the other social channels. So we, again, right outside the skate park, created like a YouTube theater, basically, where you can watch their YouTube videos. There's, again, 3D buttons that you can like the video with. You can subscribe to their channel. So there's a little Google integration there, or YouTube integration. And that's the experience that we built.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely encourage everyone to go check it out, because when you kind of look at the Braille Skateboarding brand and what they have to offer, I think you'll see there was a really nice job done here to kind of bring it to life and bring it into virtual space that in a way that they hadn't done before. Nick, I'll ask this one to you. So I think Jimmy, you made a comment a few minutes ago about how people are using this concept of digital twin, right? And I think that applies to a lot of things. I think you're talking about architecture and design, but certainly e-commerce is relevant there as well. Nick, I know you and I have talked about, the idea of once you have a company's products simulated and hosted on your server, there's a lot you can do. You want to talk more about that?
In terms of like what to do with the actual products?
Well, in terms of, we're building this one experience, but once you're kind of hooked into that company and you have their product simulated, you can do marketing, you can do sales, you can do configurators. How are you thinking about that?
Totally. So one thing that really excites me about this space in general is I really do think in the future, every shopping experience online, every e-commerce store is going to have some sort of 3D component to it. So whether you're shopping for tents, whether you're buying cameras, whether you're buying a car, whatever it might be, I think there's going to be a 3D component to it. And the challenge at this point is actually getting companies to understand the value that there is and being able to visualize these products that aren't necessarily in front of a user. So the idea is to kind of start with a pilot program with a lot of these companies, show them, maybe do an A/B test, show them the value that they're able to get from having a 3D embedded product, and show them what they're potentially missing out on if they don't include that in their other products. So ideally, over time, as we continue to work with more and more clients, we're able to build up this infrastructure and have a bunch of different models that make it easier on our end to be able to work with a bunch of different brands within the same industry, if that makes sense. So to give you guys some context, now that we've worked with 2 skateboarding brands, now we have a lot of the assets for skateboarding, right? We have the skateboards, we have the ramps. Now it's a lot easier from an engineering perspective to continue working with the action sports categories, right? It might be snowboarding, skateboarding, surfing, because we have those meshes and those models. So yeah, that's kind of the way we're thinking about it right now.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll just ask a couple more questions because I think it would be great for us to break out again. And the first one is, can you tell me more about your sales process? How do you identify leads? How do you go about getting in touch with them? And how do you communicate, your vision once you do get a hold of them?
Totally. So our sales process is something that's constantly evolving. Constantly. I mean, we're trying to ride this adoption curve of embracing 3D on the web, and since we're B2B, it does take quite a bit of effort and creativity. But right now, we're really looking at companies that want to target Gen Zs, right? So for this most previous experience we built for Braille, we have noticed, an average session duration of 5 minutes. These kids are spending time on this. So then we have to ask ourselves, okay, what are other products out there? What are other experiences out there that potential brands might want to tailor to Gen Z? So to give you guys a few examples, maybe the NFL or the NBA, maybe Dew Tour or certain competitions like SLS skateboarding or surfing. So right now we're really in the mindset of, okay, what brands are trying to sell to Gen Zs? Because, Gen Zs are always on, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're constantly being flooded with different experiences. So we think this is a way that we can provide value for these brands, building these experiences for them.
Yeah,
that want to target Gen Z.
That's great. 100%. And just, very specifically, how are you doing your outreach? Are you using cold email, cold calling, LinkedIn? What are your tools?
So lately it's been a lot of LinkedIn, just because, ideally pre-COVID or hopefully post-COVID, when conferences are open again, we can actually network with people in person. But right now it's been a lot of LinkedIn. Another strategy that I've found that has worked decently well is attend virtual events. And when these events have speakers in them, you can actually try to identify from a sales perspective, okay, can I sell something to them? Would my product resonate with them? And then you follow up shortly after, maybe 24 or 48 hours, and say, hey, you did a phenomenal job speaking at this event. These are a few points that you said that really resonated with me. And this is a product that I think, whatever, you just give them your pitch, but at least you have a warmer intro at that point.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. And the last question I'll ask you is just what's the best place to stay up to date with what you guys are doing? What's the best way to support you?
Great question. So our website, primarily workroomvr.com. I'll post that on Spatial Ape as well. We'll continue. We iterate on that. We try to about every 3 to 6 months. And then you can find me on Twitter, NDPearl. Yeah. What about you, Hayden?
Yeah, I really don't use social media very much.
Good for you.
So I'm not posting on there. I do consume a little bit, but definitely not posting on there much.
Great. Well, the website, again, I think, has everything. So
yeah. And again, park.brailleskateboarding.com is the newest project from us that just launched a couple weeks ago. So definitely check that out.